She ain't gone. She's walking around the house.
Now on News 6, a local man's fiance detained by ICE.
It took almost 2 weeks for me to be able to find out where he was.
Why he was taken to a detention center even though he had ID. Plus, private equity groups buying up mobile home parks across Florida.
They buy it not because of the money that the park is making currently. They buy it because they see an opportunity to make even more money.
The financial pressure it's now putting on residents. And the local school district with new tax money to put into repairs. This is News 6 Mornings.
Plus, two big stories breaking overnight: new attacks in Iran and Israel, and an explosion on the launch pad in Texas for SpaceX. We'll have the very latest in moments. Good morning on your Thursday to 7 a.m. I'm Crystal Moyer.
And I'm Steven Montiero. Justin is off. I'll have an update on the roads in just a moment. But first, Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos is with us, joining us here on News 6 Plus. So glad you're with us.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
Do you have any place else to be?
No, not that I know of.
No? Okay.
7 o'clock.
Well, let's talk weather.
I dream of being here at 7 a.m.
Maybe sitting at a nice breakfast joint.
Hey, that wouldn't be a bad idea to take News 6 Mornings out on the road.
Problem is that you don't want to see me devour breakfast because I am pretty intense.
She gets quiet and the food's gone.
Gone. Poof. He knows. Downtown Orlando right now, brought to you by Light Orlando, delivering hope. Happy Thursday morning, everyone. The sun is shining. We had another very pretty sunrise. So if you snapped a photo and you want to send it to me and I can put it on TV, I would love to do that. Click orlando.com/pins, or you can just upload it right from the News 6 app. Very easy to do it. And I'd love to showcase them for you. 77 to about 78 degrees. That's our temperature at this hour. Dropping off the kids at summer camp between about 8 and 4 o'clock. The heat is going to be on once again back in those mid-90s, but where the past couple of days the storms didn't really start up till after summer camp, I think we might have some storms by pickup if your pickup time is between about 12 and 4 o'clock. Those temperatures versus the heat index, there's no surprise here. It's going to be another hot stretch a couple days, but notice that the heat indices are going to be a little higher today and tomorrow. One, we have more moisture, so it's going to feel extra uncomfortable, but the added moisture is also going to be upping our rain chances for today. Our coverage a little more widespread, does include areas a little further east, so zones basically east of I-4 where we haven't seen much rain in the last couple of days might have a chance today. We'll have more details on the timing of it and a look at the tropics coming up in just a bit. Now let's check on those roadways on this Thursday with Trooper Steve.
On your Thursday, things still looking nice out here this morning. Oddly, even by our attractions. I'm talking I-4, 535, Disney Springs, north and southbound on 535, running clear this morning. Old Lake I'm mixing two roads there. Old Lake Wilson and Osceola Polk Line Road looking good. 417 up to speed, and International Drive. Look, something is taking place out here along eastbound 528 at International Drive. Not exactly sure. When we check on traffic here in the next few, I'm going to try to get something on DOT cam.
Steve, thanks. Breaking overnight, a setback for SpaceX after a major explosion on the launch pad in Texas. The company was doing a test for the upcoming 10th flight of its massive Starship rocket when, as you could see, it exploded, just sending a fireball into the sky. The company says it had a safety area set up around the launch pad and that all personnel are safe. They also say there's no hazards to anyone in the surrounding communities. SpaceX is hoping to someday use this rocket to send astronauts to the moon and beyond. The test flight was expected to happen sometime in the coming weeks. Of course, that's not the case now. We'll let you know as soon as we get any updates. Also breaking overnight, new airstrikes from both Israel and Iran. Israel says it targeted a main nuclear reactor in Iran. Meantime, missiles from Iran slammed into the main hospital in southern Israel, along with an apartment building. CBS News' Jared Hill has the latest.
A seventh day of fighting between Israel and Iran, and CBS News has learned President Donald Trump has approved plans to attack Iran as well. That's according to senior U.S. intelligence and defense sources. But so far, no decision on if he'll launch strikes.
I like to make the final decision 1 second before it's due, because things change. I mean, especially with war.
Sources say President Trump is waiting to see if Iran will abandon its nuclear program.
Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. I've been saying it for a long time. And I think they were a few weeks away from having one.
The State Department says it started evacuating non-essential personnel and their families from the U.S. Embassy in Israel. It's warning Americans to leave Iran now, as both countries launched more strikes overnight. Iran State TV confirmed that Israel hit a heavy water reactor used in nuclear production. Israel says a medical building was hit by an Iranian missile. Yesterday, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowed to win in the end. Iran's supreme leader said his nation will not surrender, and he threatened irreparable damage if the U.S. gets involved. American officials say Iran has prepared to retaliate with strikes on American bases in the Middle East.
It's their war. It's not our war. And I hope it doesn't become our war.
From the White House gates to other cities around the country, protests grew Wednesday, opposing any U.S. involvement in the conflict. Jared Hill, CBS News.
It was Christmas Day of 2023 when this man was hit and killed in Brevard County just 2 days after giving his best man speech at his father's wedding. Now, more than a year later, investigators have made an arrest in this case. Now, in just hours, that suspect is set to face a judge. Our News 6's Angie Casada is live outside the Brevard County Jail this morning. And Angie, what are police saying about this suspect?
Hey, good morning, Steve. We know that the sheriff's office arrested her just yesterday, and what we know so far is that this happened more than a year ago on Christmas Day when that tragedy left the victim dead. And we've been following this story since 2023. Drew Safranco was hit and killed while he was crossing US 1 near 192. After an exhaustive digital forensic investigation, Melbourne police say that they got a warrant this week for 27-year-old Takea Hardy on charges of leaving the scene of a crash with death. This death was especially tragic for the victim's family, not only because it happened on Christmas Day, but Drew had just given a best man speech at his father's wedding 2 days before.
Dad, you've been my hero and guide, and now seeing you take this step with such grace and happiness filled my heart with immense joy.
Now, in just heartbreaking details here, investigators believe that Drew died on impact. As for Hardy, she's being held without bond and is expected to go before a judge at some point today. Of course, we'll keep you updated as we learn more. Reporting live in Brevard County, Angie Casada, News 6.
We'll see what happens. Angie, thanks. New this morning, investigators in Apopka now say a man found dead in a neighborhood earlier this week was run over while trying to seek shelter from the weather. We first told you about this on Monday when the victim was found on East 3rd Street. Investigators believe Daniel Hodge got underneath a commercial vehicle during a storm, but about an hour later, someone got inside, drove off, unaware that Hodge was beneath that trailer. The 53-year-old was run over and died at the scene. Police say they're not pursuing any kind of charges against the driver. New this morning, a Kissimmee man detained by ICE at the Grand Canyon is trying to get back home.
News 6's Kissimmee community correspondent Stephanie Rodriguez spoke with his boyfriend about the situation. Stephanie, he has an active immigration case.
Yeah, that's right, Steve. Crystal, it's a story we have heard from other legal immigrants here in Central Florida. They're questioned by ICE, provide documentation, but are still taken into custody, leaving them with little options if they can't afford an attorney.
It took almost 2 weeks for me to be able to find out where he was.
Ricardo Dominguez's plans for happily ever after were disrupted on Memorial Day.
It's been stressful because we were supposed to be getting married.
He tells me his boyfriend Juan, an immigrant from Brazil, was sightseeing at the Grand Canyon when he was detained.
Instead of the regular, I guess, park rangers that are there, ICE was there waiting. So they asked him and another one of his colleagues for identification, and he did have identification. He had a Florida ID.
Since he's in the process of getting his green card, has an ID and a work permit, it was a shock to find out he was in an Arizona ICE detention center.
There's a lot of unknowns when it comes to identification, what they're supposed to have, whether they should have their their passports with them or just an ID.
Last week, an Osceola County woman shared a similar experience.
Fue muy humillante.
Jennifer Rodriguez Jimenez, a Venezuelan immigrant with an active asylum case, was in a Texas detention center for over 2 months while her attorneys fought to get her out.
It is unacceptable that individuals who are here legally pursuing their immigration processes are being treated this way.
As Dominguez raises money for legal help, he isn't losing hope and encourages others dealing with this to keep pushing.
Fight for your family, fight for your friends.
It's possible we could continue to hear stories like these as President Trump has said that he will be ramping up deportations from Democratic cities with sanctuary policies. This was in response to the nationwide No King's Day protest that we saw last weekend. Reporting in the studio, Stephanie Rodriguez, News 6.
And Stephanie, meantime, new this morning, a Central Florida congressman is calling for more transparency when it comes to ICE arrests. Orlando Democrat Maxwell Frost has filed what he's calling the Stop Unlawful Detention and End Mistreatment Act. It would mandate that ICE disclose just who's being detained, where they're being held, and the evidence behind each detention. It would also require reporting on things like use of force and disciplinary actions.
To my Republican colleagues who say, I don't want any undocumented people in this country, I actually agree with you. So let's document every single one of them with a speedy path to citizenship.
The bill would need bipartisan support to pass in the Republican-controlled House.
Aerial drone shows are making a return to Universal Studios. So back in December, the park paused the use of Sky Elements drones following an incident where several drones crashed, injuring a 7-year-old boy at a show in Orlando at Lake Eola. The FAA investigated and since April has given Universal the green light to resume flight operations. The shows just picked back up earlier this week.
Today is Juneteenth, a time to commemorate the end of slavery in the U.S. It's also the nation's youngest federal holiday. President Biden signed a law in 2021 making it a national federal holiday. However, here in Florida, it's not recognized as a state holiday and many services remain open. What's closed is the U.S. Post Office. There will be no regular mail today. Orlando City Hall will also be closed for the day. And let's bring in Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos. Some families may be observing Juneteenth, heading out maybe to the beach. And I know you talk a lot about those sea breezes collapsing, causing some of the storms we're going to see.
And I do think that we're going to have a little bit more of a wider spread chance of rain in the forecast for today because we have almost equal sea breezes today. The Atlantic's going to be moving in. The Gulf is also going to be moving in. So both immediate coastlines from coast to coast, I think, are going to be relatively dry. But the main focus will be between 75 and then towards 95. I think that the chance for some rain will push a little further east than it has been for the past couple of afternoons. Quick check on the tropics. Speaking of action, there's not a lot of action going on right now across the tropical Atlantic, the Caribbean, and the Gulf, but all across the eastern Pacific, big time storm. This is Hurricane Eric reaching Category 4 strength late last night, early this morning. As it continues to approach landfall, could be the strongest June storm that has made landfall across the southwestern coast of Mexico on record. So again, Category 4 strength looks like it will be brushing parts of the coast there. Torrential rain is expected with this storm. It's a very wet system. It's small, but it's certainly very wet. So we're looking at the potential for torrential rain, and that, of course, increasing the likelihood of landslides, mudslides as well. Rain chances for today, again, on the rise locally. We'll have more details on the timing of today's rain. I think we'll have an earlier start as well coming up in just a little bit. Now let's check on those roadways with Trooper Steve. He's got your News 6 traffic update.
All right, after looking at some cameras, this is 528 at like the 0.5, 0.6, just before International Drive. Look, I'm not seeing a delay. If you see one on here, text me because I'm not sure where it's at. East and westbound, we are looking clear. This could be an issue on International Drive that's causing a slowdown there northbound just at Hawaiian Court. However, Florida Highway Patrol doesn't have anything that they're currently responding to out there. So I'm going to check with Orange County and see if anything. But again, International Drive northbound out there at Hawaiian, looks like we have some delays. Time now. 7:13. Coming up, several residents of an apartment complex displaced after a big flood.
Yeah, how the property manager is responding. Plus, a celebration of wisdom and life. We hear from one local woman as she celebrates her 102nd birthday.
But first, why the decision by the U.S. Supreme Court could have a major impact on transgender laws here in Florida. You're watching News 6 Mornings. Keep it here. We'll be right back. By a vote of 6-3, the U.S. Supreme Court has upheld Tennessee's ban on medical procedures for transgender children, and the decision could have a major impact on similar laws in 24 other states, including right here in Florida. So Tennessee's law was passed in 2023, banning procedures like puberty blockers, hormone therapy, and some surgeries. Supporters say it was protecting children, but critics have argued that treatments can be life-saving for teens diagnosed with gender dysphoria. The Supreme Court ultimately sided with the state, saying that the law does not violate equal protection guaranteed by the 14th Amendment. Transgender minors and their parents will now have to cross state lines where procedures like that remain legal.
Right now, several people are forced to find a new place to stay after a huge flood at their downtown Orlando apartment complex. According to Orlando Fire Department, a chiller burst on the third floor of the City View apartments, flooding around 76 units below. Elevators are shut down, and many residents say the damage is now costing them in the thousands. Neighboring businesses say they're also being impacted by the flooding.
If you had it your way, what do you think they should do?
Definitely move me to a different unit, free of charge, same rent.
Caused flooding everywhere, so basically I had to push my appointments back so we can get that all situated. Once you got one problem, it trickles down sometimes to the other businesses or the other apartments.
It's a mess out there. We spoke with management from City View Apartments. They gave a statement saying they're working to find hotel rooms and covering expenses for a small number of residents who have chosen that option. The management team also says the damaged pipe has been fixed and all interrupted systems should be up and running soon.
Happening today, school leaders in Marion County are set to get an update on the work underway to fix up several schools with money from a new sales tax. Voters approved the additional half-cent tax for capital projects back in November. We now know one of the first projects is at East Marion Elementary School. As we first showed you last year, the classrooms there don't have doors or walls. Those are now being added at a cost of $4 million. Today's session is set for 9 o'clock.
It's 7:17 on your Thursday. We want to take a moment and recognize one of our viewers and say happy belated birthday to Evelyn Hebert from Deltona.
That's right. Yesterday, we got a call to our News 6 newsroom that Miss Evelyn was celebrating her 102nd birthday. Ah, we love you. We went out to Sterling Court Sky Active Living to help celebrate. Born in 1923 in Massachusetts, Evelyn has witnessed the world change, but says people today are pretty much the same as they've ever been. She's spent over 25 years working at AT&T before retiring to sunny, beautiful Florida with her husband. Evelyn remains vibrant, recalling fond memories of traveling the world with her husband.
Every summertime, we would always take a vacation and go to someplace different. We went, like I said, we went to every country in Europe. And I liked, the one I liked the best was Sweden. I liked the food there. Yeah.
Well, Evelyn, I like you. Evelyn's friends and caretakers made her feel extra special with a lobster dinner and a beautiful birthday cake. Look at those ladies looking great for her 102nd.
And when she says all the time she did the traveling to Europe, that was back when traveling was like you dressed up to travel.
Right.
Right?
There was etiquette.
There was like etiquette.
People acted right.
You should have seen us at the plane. We looked like we were in our pajamas. Like
well, it's a long flight.
Yeah, but to Europe.
Yeah,
I
and
bet.
I'm sure she and her husband looking dapper.
She still looks.
I'm just saying, Evelyn, if you want to go to a trivia night, you've been through it all. You have seen a bunch of countries.
She's just trying to recruit you so she can.
I will be your partner.
Yeah, you want that trivia prize.
I sure do.
Yeah, she gets feisty with this.
She's trying
I'm very competitive.
Crystal's trying to wring us all dry with Evelyn out here.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the weather forecast. I mean, listen, you've got someone on your team like that. Why not, right? More rain around in the forecast this afternoon, about 50 to 60%. There are a couple changes. One, the chance for rain is a little bit more widespread. Two, the start time of some of this rain is going to come a little earlier in the day, and that's going to be another round for tomorrow, which, by the way, is the official start of summer. The longest day of the year is tomorrow by like a second or something like that, right? So it's going to be a steamy setup, though. It certainly has been feeling like summer for the past month and a half, feeling like 100 to 105 degrees. Now, temperatures out the door right now, upper 70s to low 80s, certainly muggy out there. But now let's check on that hour forecast for your Thursday. 94, that is going to be our high this afternoon. But notice those rain chances on the rise a little earlier than where we have been for the past 3-4 days. So our rain chances up to about 40 to 50% starting as early as about the lunchtime hour. I want to show you here water vapor imagery. We had a lot of dry air over the area for the past couple of days. That's starting to kind of erode away as a lot more of moisture starts to kind of take control. And because we have more moisture, one, it's going to be feeling a little extra humid out there, meaning the heat index will be feeling more like up to about 105 to 107 in some locations. So the feels like temperatures will be cranking up a little more this afternoon. So many of us will be hoping and wishing for a little bit of rain relief, right? So as you can see here, clouds and rain forecast bringing with it some of that relief with that rain by about the lunchtime hour along I-4, some of that rain starting up along the west coast as well. But here it comes, that's the Gulf sea breeze, that's the Atlantic sea breeze, and where they come together, they'll continue to produce rain as it pushes further inland, so very scattered in nature. We're not looking at any real-time strong severe storms, but we can't rule out the chance of some heavier downpours, the frequent lightning, some gusty winds embedded within some of it. But as of now, it looks like that collision zone will happen a little further east than where it has been. For the past couple of nights, it's been basically 75 just west, I should say, of I-4, kind of in this vicinity, and that looks to shift a little further east this afternoon with some late night showers and thunderstorms still lingering as late as about 10 to 11 o'clock tonight. Again, tomorrow, the first official day of summer, the longest day officially 13 hours, 57 minutes, and 41 seconds. That might be a trivia question if you have a trivia night tonight. Just saying, just saying. Then later on tonight, we're going to continue to see some scattered showers and thunderstorms. That's going to be the same story on Friday. Early start to rain, rounds of it certainly will be possible from coast to coast. And then we're going to start drying things out a little bit further for your weekend, the first full weekend of summer. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Candace. A local school getting a major fix just in time for the new year.
At the bottom of the hour, what the hurdle must now be crossed before the plans get underway.
And up next, helping local students in need, how hundreds came together to get results before students head back to class. An urgent recall parents need to know about. Listen up. Little Remedy's children's cough syrup is being recalled. The recall is for the brand's honey cough syrup. The FDA says it's due to the presence of a bacteria which can cause 2 types of foodborne illness. Symptoms include nausea, vomiting, and stomach cramps. The cough syrup was distributed nationwide from December 14th of 2022 through June 4th of this year. The company is offering full refunds.
And today, the city of Cocoa Beach must decide if the construction site for the new 4-star hotel should be exempt from noise rules. We first told you earlier this month about the complaints from people living by the new Westin Hotel being built along A1A. The city approved the resort 4 years ago. Today, City Commission will take up a resolution to allow an exemption to the city's noise ordinance for the certain concrete pours. Tonight's meeting starts at 7. We'll let you know what happens.
A Gift for Teaching held its annual Great Big Backpack Build yesterday. 500 volunteers from nearly 30 local companies and organizations were on hand to stuff the thousands of backpacks full of notebooks, pencils, erasers, and more. This upcoming school year, the organization's able to help 25,000 students in Orange and Osceola counties. You never realize, the kids that are in need.
An investigation leads to a shakeup in the Kissimmee Police Department.
Up next, what the department just unveiled and the changes that they've already made.
Streaming on clickorlando.com and broadcasting live, you're watching News 6.
Good Thursday morning. I'm Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos taking a live look outside Cape Canaveral. A nice dry start to the day. Certainly muggy out there. Upper 70s already closing in on nearing 80 already at this hour. Now throughout the day we'll be feeling a little hotter because we have added moisture and instability. So it will be feeling like 100 to 107 potentially throughout the day. But we are looking at a little more rain relief for some parts of Central Florida. By about 2 o'clock, an earlier start to the rain and storms becoming a little more widespread with our coverage this afternoon still hovering at about 50 to 60%. Now let's check on those roadways with Trooper Steve.
Things looking pretty good out here this morning. 528 east and westbound. The sun is up. The roads are clear. Just be careful when you get on International Drive. There are some random delays. It looks like it's cleaned up. But look at your I-4 drive times. They're great for 7:30 in the morning. Doing about 22 minutes in both directions. And no crash to currently report. Just some foggy, dirty cameras. The news continues next. Remember, get updates on our big stories anytime you're looking for them over at clickorlando.com.
Streaming on clickorlando.com and broadcasting live, you're watching News 6.
The time is now 7:30 on your Thursday.
Let's get a check of our top stories. And breaking overnight, a massive explosion on the launch pad for SpaceX. The company says it was doing a test on its Starship rocket in Texas at the time. They do say no one was hurt and there was no danger to any communities nearby.
Also breaking overnight, Israel and Iran have traded more airstrikes. Israel struck a nuclear reactor site while Iran targeted a hospital and apartment building. Dozens have reportedly been hurt.
And a woman is set to face a judge in Brevard County charged with a deadly hit and run. The victim, 23-year-old Drew Sofranco, was killed while trying to cross South Harbor City Boulevard back in Christmas 2023.
Turning now to the weather, we're set to get an earlier start to the rain than we've seen the past few days. But look at this live look out at downtown Orlando.
Oh, it is so nice out there. It's probably better temperature in here.
Yeah.
Though. So let's check in with
Little
Chief
hot.
Meteorologist Candace Campos.
Yeah, the heat is certainly something we're going to have to deal with area-wide across Central Florida, as temperatures are going to feel a little warmer this afternoon. And because of that, we're also looking at higher humidity levels and a better chance for rain. So a combination, we're going to crank up the heat and the rain a little bit today. Downtown Orlando, brought to you by Light Orlando, delivering hope together. Right now, we're between about 77 to 78 degrees, a little warmer the further inland along 75, already closing in on nearing 80. Now look at the heat indices today. For the past couple of days, they've been up to about 100, maybe 105 today. We might actually surpass that a little more, up to about 107 potentially in some of our far inland zones because of that added moisture. Now that added moisture is also going to fuel a few more rounds of rain and storms. The storms might start up, though, a little earlier today, and the coverage is a little wider. Let me show you here. Along both coastlines, I think the sea breezes will push most of the action basically just west of 95. So areas between 95 and I-4 that haven't seen the rain might have a little more rain chances in the forecast today, and that stretches all the way through 75 as well. So for areas right along the beach where we could stay dry throughout the majority of the day, you want to enjoy the sun and sand. 90 is going to be our high today. The surf not too bad, but still swim by a lifeguard. Our rip current risk still in the moderate to high range. We'll have more details on the first official day of summer tomorrow and a look at the weekend in just a bit. Now let's check on those roadways with Trooper Steve.
I've had to put that sprinkler on because rain does not like where my house is at. It comes flying up the clouds and then it dies right out. 528 looking good this morning. Even on I-4, we're clear. So we're seeing some delays earlier, but we're not seeing them anymore along International Drive out there by Hawaiian Court, out by the main portion of the convention center. Just be careful. Still, your drive times on I-4 great this morning. Westbound I-4 from 417 in Sanford, headed westbound, nice and easy. 408 State Road 50 out on the west side, all smooth. And turning to some heartbreaking story out of Melbourne, now back in the spotlight today. The woman accused in a deadly Christmas hit and run in 2023 expected in court.
The 23-year-old victim was killed just 2 days after giving a best man speech at his father's wedding. Here's a suspect here. Now, nearly a year and a half later, police say they finally tracked down the driver. News 6's Angie Casada joins us live. And Angie, how are investigators saying they did all of that?
Hey guys, they say this arrest was the result of a lengthy investigation that involved digital and forensic evidence. Now, the 27-year-old Takea Hardy, she's accused of hitting and killing Drew Sofranco on US 1 near 192 in Melbourne. This happened early on Christmas Day back in 2023, but it took until this week before an arrest warrant was obtained and Hardy was taken into custody by the sheriff's office. Now, at the time of his death, Sofranco was heading back to his vacation rental, and he had just given the best man speech at his father's wedding 2 days earlier. We talked to his father not long after.
From what I understand, it was a white four-door Chevy car that hit him and continued to drive on. The assumption is that the person was driving at a high rate of speed because the physician said that the traumatic injuries would have caused death immediately.
Now, Hardy's charged with leaving the scene of a crash with death. It is set to appear before a judge this afternoon. Of course, we're going to be watching to see if a bond is granted and keep you updated on air and here on clickorlando.com. Reporting live in Brevard County, Angie Casada, News 6.
Angie, thanks. And another update to a tragic story out of Brevard County. The man accused of killing his 2-month-old child will be staying behind bars. Investigators say 27-year-old Donovan Winter killed the infant back in 2021. U.S. Marshals and sheriff's deputies arrested him on Monday after they say an autopsy on the child revealed he died from blunt force trauma. According to the arrest report, Winter placed the baby face down in a bassinet with a pacifier before going to sleep, and the child was found dead the next morning. Winter is being held without bond.
Tensions in Melbourne Beach are high this morning after a meeting last night ended with the mayor censured for the second time. The city commission voted 3-2 on that decision. And as News 6 Troy Campbell tells us, it all stems from language the mayor used in an email.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say nay. Nay. That carries 3-2.
Censored for the second time, Melbourne Beach Mayor Alison Dennington says she regrets using the word idiot to describe another commissioner in an email to a state employee.
Should I have used the word idiot? No. So I will do what nobody up here will do, which is apologize for my transgression. I should not have used that word. I should have been more professional. I will acknowledge that.
Mayor Dennington claims it's other commissioners who write badly about her in emails.
But I have a stack of emails here of the things that this one and this one say about me, as well as Mr. Simmons and various others. And the one word, idiot, pales in comparison to the things that they say.
That was a claim Commissioner Anna Butler denies.
Because I have nothing to hide. I don't use bad words. I don't call people names. And I just speak the truth. And I have nothing to hide.
People from the public also filled the room, expressing support for and against the mayor.
They've been working on her from the day she got elected. They wanted the yes. They wanted somebody else up there.
At your previous censure, you promised to do better, and yet you haven't. In fact, your defiance tonight suggests you have no plans to do better.
Use your brain, use your training, take your meds.
And the mayor still has more than a year left in office. Another commissioner also said they hope moving forward they can, as a board, work together. In Melbourne Beach, Troy Campbell, News 6.
And meanwhile, it's not the only city with a government disagreement. A Pride festival in St. Cloud is fueling new controversy, and now the city's mayor says he was misled. The event is called Proud in the Cloud and is set to happen this weekend. The city is giving over $1,200 in taxpayer funds to help cover the costs, which sparked a special meeting yesterday. The debate comes after the city stopped issuing any and all proclamations and it removed its first openly gay deputy mayor from his title after he questioned as to why.
I believe we were hoodwinked up here on council.
No, there's nothing unlawful, there's no hoodwinking going on, nothing of that sort. This is just a group that wants to have an event.
Now, that event will still go on this weekend. It's expected to draw a crowd of about 2,000 people, and city leaders voted to add more staff for security.
A police misconduct investigation in Kissimmee is now leading to terminations, demotions, and suspensions within the department. It starts with Officer Andrew Baseggio, who pleaded guilty to felony battery and misconduct after an April arrest in 2023. And a report says he convinced other officers to lie, which triggered a full internal affairs probe. 3 officers were fired, 2 were demoted, 3 more were suspended. The state attorney's office says the department fostered a culture of silence, and the newly instated police chief says the agency will not stand for it.
Those responsible have been held accountable, and again, the actions of a few do not reflect the overwhelming majority of the men and women committed to serving and protecting this community.
This fallout comes after several high-profile resignations last year. Chief Charles Broadway says more reforms are coming, and this is just the beginning.
Right now, we're waiting to see if the Tampa Bay Rays will be calling Jacksonville home for good after a bombshell statement from the team confirms a sale is in the works. Since Hurricane Milton tore through Tropicana Field in St. Pete last fall, the Rays' future has pretty much been up in the air. Now the team announced it's in advanced talks to sell the franchise. The Dream Finders Home CEO is leading the possible sale, which includes the owner of the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp minor league team. But the team's statement says Tampa Bay investors are in the mix too.
The new ownership group can kind of choose which side of the bay that they want to build a stadium on.
Now, the deal comes after the Rays owner pulled out of the new ballpark plan in St. Pete. Now, Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos in doing our forecast, of course. I hear the anchor next to me wrote a big check too, and she's trying to take part in the Jacksonville stuff.
Bring them all here. I don't care.
Just buying a team, that's
Right,
all.
why not?
Yeah. But again, this is stuff that is all happening because of hurricane season, right? I mean, you saw what happened to that stadium during Milton. Speaking of hurricane season, on average, June 20th, which is tomorrow, here across the tropical Atlantic, we tend to see our first named storm, and there is nothing going on right now across the tropics. There's a couple little waves out there, but nothing anticipated on developing within the next couple of days. I honestly don't think we'll have anything significant for the next week or so. Now let's look here. This is something significant. Hurricane Eric just made landfall as a major hurricane, the first major hurricane of the season. Also the strongest June storm to make landfall on the southwest coast there in Mexico. As of right now, it has weakened as it has now moved over very mountainous areas. Still a Category 3 hurricane, sustained winds of 125 miles per hour. We're talking about life-threatening flash floods, mudslides, all a possibility right now across parts of Mexico. Back here at home, a completely different story. Daytona Beach, taking a live look outside right now. Our temperatures are in the upper 70s. Closing in the low 80s already. It is going to be a scorcher of a day. We are adding a little more rain to the forecast this afternoon. We're talking about a 50 to 60%. Summer, that officially begins tomorrow, but it certainly has been feeling like summer. It's going to be feeling a little hotter today. We'll have more details on the heat indices and a look at the timing of today's rain coming up in just a little bit. Now let's check on those roadways with Trooper Steve.
Things still nice out here this morning. Along Colonial Drive, we're starting to see some delays along Pine Hills Road, of course, in our normal hot spots. But where we normally see delays, not much going on out there. Maitland looking nice east and westbound. If we go up a little further north there towards the Wekiva Springs, Apopka area, 441 looking good. Even 434 Forest City also smooth. Yesterday out on patrol, we took it over towards 434 out at Oviedo, where we saw that really unfortunate fatal crash take place earlier this week. I wanted to dissect how this crash happened and what we should be doing to avoid it. Head to clickorlando.com and check that out. Today, we're going to be over at the West Orange County, over at the West Orange Trail. I haven't got to experience that trail, but a lot of you guys just running stop signs thinking the car's going to stop for you. So we're going to talk about that today over at clickorlando.com at 10 o'clock. But right now it's 7:42. Mobile home residents are sounding the alarm, saying they've been priced out of the communities they've called home for years.
Apparently, private equity firms are buying up mobile home parks and raising rents with no limits. Coming up, News 6 investigates why it appears the federal government is helping finance those deals.
First, though, why a deadly crash is treated like a crime scene. I'm going to break down what a traffic homicide investigator is. Coming up next. It's time for Ask Trooper Steve, where I get to answer some of the questions that you guys sent in to me, and this is a timely question, so it's been brought up. What is a traffic homicide investigator, or THI? Well, when a serious crash happens, especially one involving death, these are the folks who step in. They're not just checking out the dents on the car or broken glass in the roadway. They're trained investigators who treat the crash like a possible crime scene. They go through countless higher education classes. They measure skid marks, analyze damage, pull back box data, and even reconstruct exactly how a crash occurs, down to the second. And yes, that means sometimes spending hours in the heat or pouring rain, making sure that they do not miss a single detail. Now, their goal, to find out what actually happened and whether or not anyone should be held responsible criminally or liably, right? It's tough work, but it's about bringing answers to family and helping prevent future tragedies. So to all my THI guys out there, I appreciate you. If you've got a traffic safety question, you want me to answer it, head on over to clickorlando.com/AskTrooperSteve.
Well, Florida is one of the leading states in mobile home parks, but neighbors say corporations are buying their communities, then raising the lot rent. We've been hearing from a lot of you concerned about this. News 6 investigator Louis Bolden found out those corporations are getting help from a well-known source.
Mobile home parks have changed hands. If it continues to increase like that, will you be able to stay here?
No, I wouldn't be able to.
And residents are feeling the pinch. Are they giving a reason for the increases?
No, just because they can do it.
News 6 investigated, and we found out Florida has the most private equity-owned mobile home parks in the country. That's according to the Private Equity Stakeholder Project, which is a nonprofit organization that researches the impacts the private equity industry has on communities.
When a private equity company buys a park, they buy it not because of the money that the park is making currently. They buy it because they see an opportunity to make even more money. So they raise the rents, they add on fees, and then they reduce their expenses.
Jordan Ash is the housing director for the nonprofit. He tells me nearly half of the mobile home parks brought by private equity companies were financed through two government-backed mortgage buyers, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac.
Do you think the government has some responsibility in terms of keeping them affordable?
Absolutely.
And have you gotten any feedback from lawmakers?
Yes, some lawmakers, support this. They see what's happening around them and do believe that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac there should be some standards attached to their financing.
And what type of standards?
The biggest thing is right now, there are no restrictions in terms of how much, the new owners can increase the rents. And so if the private equity companies are benefiting from lower interest financing through Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, there should be something in return for that.
Louis Bolden, News 6.
News 6 emailed Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac to see if they would include standards to their financing for corporations and private equity firms. We've not yet heard back.
A new warning about Social Security. An annual report just released says the program won't be able to pay full benefits in less than 10 years unless Congress acts quickly. The trust fund is expected to run out in 2034. That's a year earlier than last forecasted. Now, if that happens, checks could be slashed by nearly 20%. There are tens of millions of retirees and people with disabilities who rely on monthly checks from Social Security Administration. Experts say slow earning growth and a recent boost in benefits are partly to blame.
A baby llama is adopted by a police station, and now he is an internet sensation. Take a look. We're meeting Miguelito, a baby llama in Chile who's gone from orphaned to internet famous. He's just 5 days old when officers found him abandoned. No one could take him, so the station did. And now he's 3 months old, and Miguelito patrols the halls, joins shift changes, and melts our hearts. Take a look at him there. His videos are taking off online, and yes, he does have his own police uniform, as you could see there.
Pressed, looks good, form-fitting.
He's so cute.
He's got a face.
He does have a side-eye kind of thing going on.
Well, the hard work he's doing, you gotta have that type of face.
Walking the halls just judging everybody.
How cool, though, is it to work there and you walk in and you see Miguelito?
I wish we could find an animal in the parking lot and bring it in here. That'd be fun.
Too late, I already did that.
No.
I wish y'all would have taken him.
I know.
I do have a cat, the dumpster cat from outside the station.
Yeah.
Just happens all the time.
I wonder what the smell is.
I didn't
with a
think
llama.
about that.
Yeah.
Are they potty? No, they're not potty
I
trained.
don't think so. I don't think so.
They
All
just
right.
go where they want.
All right, let's talk.
That went gross real quick.
We took a turn for the worse.
I mean,
Well, if they're going to spit on you, you think they're just not going to poop wherever they want?
I think, do llamas spit? I think that's a camel.
Yeah, same thing.
I guess. Miguelito is on his way over here. All right, let's talk about the weather forecast for today. Daytona Beach Sky Camp, you want to sit back and enjoy the sense of the ocean breeze, that suntan lotion, maybe not suntan lotion, maybe sunscreen, right? That ocean breeze certainly going to be feeling nice today, upper 70s to low 80s already at this hour. We're going to start seeing the driest part of the day for the next few hours, and then I think we are really going to up our rain chances a little earlier than what we have been dealing with for the past few mornings. So I won't be surprised if we have more rain and thunderstorms tracking on News 6 at 4. All right, let's look at those temperatures out the door again. Upper 70s closing in on 80 right there in Cape Canaveral, holding at 80 degrees. But as we take it here hour by hour, 94. That is going to be our high this afternoon, feeling even hotter. But I like this trend here because I wanted to show you that normally our rain chances for the past few days starting at about 5 o'clock, we're going to push those rain chances up a little earlier in the day. Now with that added moisture in the air, that's going to up our humidity levels. That's going to make it feel a little warmer than what it has been. Now, don't get me wrong. It has been a hot couple days. It's just going to crank up the heat a little more with these heat indices between 100 and even up to 107 degrees this afternoon. So if you're going to be out and about, obviously this is kind of a rule of thumb every day this summer, making sure that you're taking those breaks and giving yourself plenty of water and hydration, right? As we look here at the clouds and rain forecast, look at the earlier start to the rain lining up along I-4 as early as about lunchtime. But then throughout the day, the Gulf and the Atlantic sea breezes will be coming together, kind of developing scattered showers as they meet up. As of now, it looks like by about 5, 6 o'clock, that's where we will really start to see the chance for some of those slow-moving collision kind of storms there, where the heavy rain, the gusty winds, the frequent lightning all will happen right along I-4 by about 5 to 7 o'clock, and then things start to taper off a little bit. Models are still holding on to some residual rain and storms lingering late into the night. We do have an old frontal boundary that I'm wondering if that's triggering or will have the ability to trigger a couple more showers and thunderstorms even by early tomorrow morning. That is something we'll be watching and ironing out those details as the models get a better handle on it. But beyond Friday, we're talking Saturday and Sunday, we're going to start tapping into a little more drier air, not a big plume of dry air, but just enough that I think our rain chances will be dipping a little bit come Saturday and Sunday. But for today and for the first official day of summer tomorrow, we're going to see a little more activity on the radar. And then overall, just still looking very summer-like, at least throughout the next 7 days. Now let's check on those roadways with Trooper Steve.
We look great out here, Candace. Things in downtown at the 83-mile marker looking good. That means if you're exiting towards kind of the Ivanhoe area, no issues there. And then several miles east in Seminole County out here, nice and smooth there at the county line about Maitland Boulevard, Kennedy area, Eatonville off to the right-hand side. Our drive times are still great at 7:53 in the morning. We're looking good. I-4 still in the green with a slight westbound delay out there at Lake Mary Boulevard. Flood waters blocking the way to a local elementary school every time a storm hits. Now leaders are looking to fix that. What Volusia County plans to build coming up next.
In Volusia County, a flood fix is finally on the way for Osteen Elementary. For years, heavy rain has turned the area around the school into a swamp, as you can see there, making it nearly impossible for students to get to class. This is what it looked like right after Hurricane Milton. Now, the school district and county, they're teaming up to change all of that by raising sidewalks and building a new retention pond.
This school was replaced many years ago because of flooding, and so the school area actually doesn't flood. It's strictly the road and the entrance into our campus.
Basically a moat around the school, right? Well, the county says money is already in the budget for the fixes. It's just waiting for final approval. Candace.
All right, looking at your hour-by-hour forecast for today, we're going to continue to see temperatures on the hot side, feeling like the triple digits. But I do really think the start of our rain today will come a little earlier and shift a little further east. So neighborhoods, I've been hearing the rumbles of thunder, but with no rain, I think you might actually get some more rain today. It's not going to be a guarantee, but notice how scattered the rain gets. Our coverage for today, about 50 to 60%, basically between 75 and 95. You do have a decent shot of that. Do expect a lot more of the same, though, as we head into the first day of summer, by the way, which is tomorrow. Touch drier, though, for your weekend, Steve.
Every time you say summer, I think of that
Olaf
song,
from Frozen.
Just singing it right now, and I'm not going to do that. I-4 looks good. Keep it that way. It's Thursday. Let's drive safely. Thanks for joining us, and remember, we break news over at clickorlando.com.
In summer, you can also find all of our stories on our New 6 Plus app for your TV.
Have a great day. Think of Crystal, and there's Mount